Happy Thursday morning, everyone. Nice to see you back today for Art Outside the Box. I've got something kind of fun planned, something different, something that I was unfamiliar with until I started playing around with it yesterday, and I really enjoy it. I think you might too. It is called Zentangle. You may have heard of this. You've seen some of the coloring books, the adult coloring books with all the designs. A lot of that uses Zentangle. We've got a pretty cool book here at the library that I just discovered. It's got 500 different Zentangle designs in it, ranging from simple to very, very complicated, but we're gonna start out simple. I think you'll be amazed at what you can get just knowing a few things about this. It's not an ancient art. I was surprised about that. It was developed only about 10 years ago by a gentleman named Rick. I have to look at my notes. Rick Roberts and Mary Thomas. He was a monk and she was an artist, and they kind of combined their talents and came up with this. It's very relaxing. It is meant to calm your mind, calm your brain. It's purposeful. Unlike doodling, where you're just not thinking about what you're doing, while you're Zentangling, you're concentrating a little bit on your patterns, on your design. So I did a couple of things. I finished this piece yesterday. I did my initial, and it looks kind of fancy, but it was surprisingly easy to do. I think it took me all of maybe a half an hour from start to finish. The other one that I started today, because I'll show you a little bit about the process, is this, and this is more traditional in that it is a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. And traditional Zentangle is done in this format. They call it a tile, even though they use different sorts of paper. You can use a watercolor paper. This is cardstock. You can use regular paper, heavy duty paper. But let's start out with the initial, and I'll show you how I got this accomplished. All right, so I started with my computer here at work, and I just Googled J, and it showed me all different fonts with J, but I chose one that was pretty simple, and then I just blew it up and printed it. You could freehand this if you want to. Another option is, if you do want something more like this, stop in the library for 20 cents. We can help you out. Actually, we could do this as a reference copy, so no problem with that. The next thing I did, because I wanted to trace this image, is I took my pencil and just did the whole back. And then I laid it down on a sheet of cardstock. It's kind of like some magic in this right here. And I traced around the outline, pressing down firmly. This is an old trick I learned years ago. Finish that off, and I should have an outline underneath here that I can go by. And I do, okay? So you don't need many materials for this. A pencil you're going to need. If you want to get into doing the tiles, you will need a ruler. And then you're going to need a pen. This is a Bic roller ball, and it works pretty well. You can also use a Sharpie, very, very fine point. Anything with a fine point. You don't want a regular Sharpie that's got a real thick point on it. You want to be able to do some detail here. So then I just, I really didn't even think about it. I just started making patterns. So I did scallops along the edge, like so. And just relax when you're doing this. There's no right or wrong about it. That's what I like. I put some little designs in the scallops, and I'm going to color those in. I won't finish this whole thing, but I just kind of want to show you how easy it is to get started and come up with something pretty neat in the end. It's also important to think about a nice mix of black and white. You don't want just outlines, you want some dark areas and some light areas. And then we can even go in at the end and do a little shading, which will enhance your project. All right, so let's say I've got these done. I'll outline these. And then we'll do something a little bit different up here. So I simply did some zigzag lines, very easy. And you'll want to put a little more thought into this too when you have time and you're working on it. I can go like so, color these in. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. Any pattern works for you. It's already starting to come together a little bit. We'll do some horizontal lines to form the top of the letter. And we'll just throw some circles in these. So yeah, it's very relaxing. I can sit and do this for hours, except that you might get a little writer's cramp. But other than that, we'll do some squiggly lines. But yeah, you get the idea, and you want to color things in. I'll show you on this next piece how we'll do a little shading. So they use this art for therapy for people with anxiety, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, and just keep going. Like I said, you can't make a mistake. I did kind of have fun with this part on the end of my J. I just did a little flourish, just a couple of squiggly lines here, and then kind of decorated those in. So depending on your letter, you can add some fun things like that too. I hope you can see this okay. There you go. So just keep working on that, and then all I did to finish it off was I cut it out and I put it over some black cardstock. Zentangle is typically in black and white with just a little bit of shading, so you don't need a lot of materials to have fun with this. I pulled this off of the internet too, and these are just some examples of some very simple patterns, and you can see that really these are very easy, even though when you repeat them like they have done here, there's a lot of impact, but I think anybody could do this. So let's work on this one a little bit, okay? I hope you can see this okay. Tilting my camera down. Here we go. All right, so I started out with my flourishes, and then I just added some little dots. And then I thought I'd go in here. This might create a little bit of optical illusion. So I'm just going to fill in all these squares like so. And this will take a little bit of time. I could probably even use a Sharpie to color in these boxes, and that would push things along a little bit faster. But we'll just do this. Okay, so say I've got all of these done. Now I want to go in and add a little interest to it. So I'm going to take a drawing pencil and just kind of go into these areas between the flourishes and shade those in. And that will just add a little bit more dimension and interest to your piece. You might even want to color some of these in, but the possibilities are endless. I think you'll come up with some really neat stuff if you work at it. And feel free to stop in the library and check out this book. This will get you started with over 500 ideas. I think you're going to have fun with this project. Thanks again for joining me today. I had a great time as always. The weather's cooling off, so I'm thinking fall, and in the next few weeks we'll be looking at some fall craft items. Stick with us on Facebook and on YouTube. We've got all kinds of fun things for you. And please pop in and see us. We miss your happy faces. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.